Hello YouTube, this is IFM here, and it's time for the 5th team of the week. This time I'm featuring a team that's not mine, it's one of my friends from Smogon. This is his weatherless team that had a ton of success on the ladder there. It peaked, I believe it peaked number 1, and it's just a really solid team that utilizes a very different play style, because a lot of the teams in OU that are extremely successful, they are really the weather-based teams, and we thought that we'd bring you this team because it really shows you a different way of playing that still works out and can really be successful if you play it right. Now, he started off this team using the Conkeldurr and Reuniclus core, because they play off each other, they complement each other very well, and also they both serve as a check to Excadrill, so you don't have to carry a specific counter, which is very important for a hyper offensive team, because normally Excadrills can really walk all over you, and if you have 2 checks to him, you don't have to include something like Gliscor or Skarmory in there that really slows down your momentum. So we'll start off with Conkeldurr here. Obviously, he really used just the standard Conkeldurr set. So you got your bulk up to boost your attack and defense, just to really get the sweep going. The drain punch as your really not reliable way of recovering health, but it does the job most of the time. Mach punch to hit those Excadrills, and if you do let them set up, you can always come in and you can send Conkeldurr in, and you can revenge them so that they don't sweep through your team. And payback to hit the ghosts and psychics that resist your fighting stabs. Now the EVs for this are the standard bulk up set EVs. You got 120 HP, max attack just for maximum power, and 136 special defense. Now these EVs work to really balance it out between your HP and your special defense, so you can still come in and you can take some pretty weak special attacks and just be able to rub them off and recover it off with Drain Punch, so you can set up easier, and you don't really need the defense because you're boosting your defense with bulk up. Now the nature for this bad boy is Adamant. Just you're already boosting your attack all the way, might as well boost it a little more. It gets up to 416 points, and that's without a bulk up boost. So 1 bulk up and it's already up around 600 attack. So for the item, you really want leftovers on this guy. I mean, some people elect to run Flame Orb, but I really don't see how it's worth it, because you're losing a ton of health when you could be recovering it with leftovers, and you already got such a big boost. And for the ability, Guts is just a lot better than Sheer Force, especially on Conkeldurr here, because he doesn't really have any moves that are boosted by Sheer Force, and since Iron Fist isn't released, Guts allows it to really work through the burns and boost his attack when a lot of other physical attackers are stopped pretty much cold by it. So that moves on to the next Pokemon on the team, and it's Reuniclus, aka Rankarusu, if I could get to him. So yeah, you've probably been hearing a lot about this Pokemon. It started off Gen 5, and people really didn't think it would be that great, but then the Calm Mind stat started really taking over, and people were actually considering banning it on some circles. And another set also began to surface a little bit later, which was the Trick Room set, which he elected to use on this team, because this team is more of a hyper offensive based team, and having a bulky setup guy, 2 of them actually, it really just kind of messes with your offensive flow, because you got Conkeldurr, who really fits that bill for this team. So he decided and he elected for the Trick Room set. So we're going to add Trick Room to this guy, and by doing that, it allows you to beat a lot of the common switch-ins. I mean, you can't beat Blissey and Chansey anymore, but you can beat basically anything else, because you out slow Tyranitar under Trick Room, and I believe you one-hit KO with Focus Blast. You can beat other Reunicluses with Shadow Ball, same with like Latios that might switch in expecting to resist Psychic and Focus Blast. And it allows you to just hit with amazing power because of its ability Magic Guard. It won't take any Life Orb damage. So obviously with a Life Orb and with your max special attack EVs, you're going to be hitting like a truck. Now here you don't want to go the Modest Nature, because the Modest Nature, it lowers your attack, but because you're using this on a Trick Room team, you want to lower your speed. So let's see, let's lower the speed there. So Quiet Nature. And for the speed EVs here, you're going to want to go and you want to stick 0 in there, just to make sure you hit the slowest speed possible, so you outspeed everything under Trick Room. Now the coverage is pretty important here. He elected to go with Psychic, Focus Blast, and Shadow Ball. Now the thing about Focus Blast and Shadow Ball that's so great is they get perfect coverage in the metagame, and then Psychic is your powerful stab to really back it up. So no matter what is sent in on this Reuniclus, you're going to be hitting them for at least neutral damage and a lot of things for super effective damage, which really helps benefit it as a sweeper, because you can get perfect coverage in 2 moves and then also have your stab, and with that massive special attack plus boosted by the Life Orb and the fact that you're taking no residual damage, just turns Trick Room Reuniclus into just a perfect sweeper to just send in there and clean up teams, because nothing is going to outspeed it under Trick Room. Now he didn't go for the straight 252 HP EVs. He went for a little bit of a different spread to allow it to check Excadrill a little bit better. He elected for 192, excuse me, I can't type, 192 HP EVs and then 64 defense EVs, just allowing it to take defensive hits a little bit better and kind of balance out the defense and the special defense, and still get him over 400 hit points there. And that was what he really started with. He started with the Conkeldurr and the Reuniclus core that really work off each other as sweepers and open holes for each other, just kind of blow through the opposing team. Now, once he decided that it was going to be more of an offensive team, he needed something to get hazards down and get it down fast, so that the switching that's caused by things like Reuniclus and Conkeldurr can be taken advantage of. And he went with what in my opinion is the best pure hazard layer in the metagame, Deoxys-S. So go to Deoxys here, alternate forms, S, which is the speed form. I mean, it hits 396 speed with absolutely no investment. So for the set here, just going to go 252 speed, get the most possible, and then 252 attack to ensure that you're hitting as hard as possible with an Adamant nature. The item is Focus Sash here to make sure that you get as many layers up as possible. So the moves, obviously Stealth Rocks and Spikes, and you got a couple of choices between your coverage moves. For this team, Fire Punch and Superpower are really the best options, because Tyranitar obviously can give a lot of trouble to Reuniclus and stuff like that, and also gets the Sandstorm up for Excadrill to come in and be pretty much of a nuisance. And Fire Punch is just there if there's ever present Bug Steals and Ferrothorn that you see a lot in the metagame, and it's an extremely useful move just for hitting things super effective and making it so they can't really set up on Deoxys-S, and then you force them to switch out and allow you to get more of your hazards up. So with those 3 figured out, you got your lead as much as you can have one in the Wi-Fi LU metagame with your Wi-Fi calls up. You got your powerful physical sweeper, you got your powerful special sweeper, and you got 2 treks to Excadrill that could really trouble the team. So for the next Pokemon he added, he went with a Dragonite, a Choice Band Dragonite. Now, you might be seeing a lot of Dragon Dance Dragonites with those Lumberries or those bulky ones with leftovers. But in my opinion, this Choice Band Dragonite is by far the best Dragonite out there because he can do so many things, and he still doesn't die because of just the amazing bulk that Multiscale gives it. So obviously hit Multiscale right off the bat, make sure you got that in. Choice Band, Adamant Nature, because you just want this guy to hit like a tank. Max out your attack and max out your speed for the maximum hitting power, and then just up the special defense because you don't want to lower your hit points because of stealth rock damage. Make sure you get 4 switch-ins instead of 5. So for the moves here, I mean the pretty obvious ones, it's not that complicated. Outrage, powerful Dragon Stab, 120 base power. I mean, coming from a Choice Band Dragonite, it 2-hit KOs offensive Heatran and stuff like that, and it does, if I recall correctly, about 35% Skarmory. I mean, not many things in the metagame can switch in on a Choice Band Dragonite Outrage without getting at least 2-hit KO'd, and if not possibly 1-hit KO'd. Now the next move, you really want to go for priority here because Dragonite's, he's not the fastest guy in the world, 259 speed, and with a Adamant Nature, and Extreme Speed kind of nullifies that a little bit, allows it to not only serve as your just powerful attacker with extremely bulky Choice Band user, but it also gives you priority so you can act as a revenge killer for your team as well. Now the last 2 moves, he went with Earthquake to hit those steals. I might be switching in like Heatran, who resist all its other moves, or something like Jirachi, something along those lines. And then Fire Punch, just like on Deoxys-S for those Bug Steals and Ferrothorn, which are ever present in OU right now. Now, he's got his physical choice user, he's got his 2 sweepers, and he's got his lead. For the next thing, he decided to go with a powerful special choice user with choice specs. He went with Rotom-W. Once again, alternate forms here, change it to Rotom-W. And like I said, this guy is a choice specs. Really complements Dragonite well because stuff that Dragonite just can't handle, like Skarmory, like Bronzong, Rotom-W can switch in and start firing off choice specs, hydro pumps, and even volt switches just to maintain that momentum, which is very important for the hyper offensive teams because you always want to have the upper foot in the opponent and not let them set anything up on you, and you want to set your stuff up. And by having Pokemon like Rotom-W that are extremely flexible, you can take a hit every once in a while and get out of there. It really allows you to keep your momentum up and make sure that you always have the upper hand. So the moveset here is pretty standard for Rotom-W, at least in the early parts. You got Hydro Pump, you got your Volt Switch, and you got your Thunderbolt. Now at this point, most people throw a trick in the last spot, but this team can have some problems with Quagsire and Gastrodon even. So for the last spot, he filled it up with Hidden Power Grass there. Set it to Grass. Make sure you got the one with 31 speed EVs. I believe Grass has all of those with that. So set up Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power, Grass. Gives you some pretty decent coverage in the metagame. Can hit almost everything neutral except for some things like Latios. And allows you to just maintain the momentum with this team. And for the EVs, choice specs user really goes just standard stuff here. 252 special attack, 252 speed, get you up to 271. Outspeed all those Pokemon that are hovering around 260s, 250s, 240s with a modest nature to ensure that you're hitting as hard as possible. And with the last 4 EVs dumped into special defense just to make sure things don't get the download boost off you or something like that. Now, for this last Pokemon, you got basically everything covered, and the only thing that really is a problem right now is that you have no dragon resists. And the fact is that this metagame is so focused around the dragon type and dragons and steels outside of weather, that they really just kind of run the show out there. And to try to build a team without a dragon resist is pretty much suicide if you ever come up against a Latios or a Haxorus or something along those lines. So the last spot was given to Scizor because, wrong spot, but so yeah, Scizor gets the spot because not only is he a bulky steel who really fits into the hyper offensive way, he also has access to recover in Roost, so he is able to constantly switch in and recover off the damage to make sure he's always in top shape so he can take those dragon attacks, because this is the team's only really way to handle those kinds of assaults. And like if Scizor goes down, the team's in a ton of trouble. So it's very important that they picked a steel type with the recovery to make sure it stays alive for a while. So the moveset, it's pretty much the standard choice band moveset. And not choice band, sword dance. Got Roost, sword dance, bullet punch, and your stab move, bug bite, which is chosen over U-turn here to make sure you keep those boosts from sword dance. And it also hits harder than U-turn because of the technician boosts that it gets. So instead of having the 60 base power it normally has, it's got the 90 base power, not including stab, compared to the 70 that U-turn has. Now for the EVs here, just maximize the HP just to make sure you can take hits for as long as possible. 120 attack EVs to give it that extra oomph, and 138 EVs thrown into defense to take those physical assaults that it's going to have to be taking. So, and then for the nature, it's going to have an Adamant nature to boost that already high attack up to 358 and make sure that it's just going to keep rolling once it starts compiling the boosts out there. And for the item, you see a lot of different things in these. You see a lot of leftovers, you see some lumberries. Make sure you don't get damaged by status too much. But he elected for something that's not really seen a lot on a Sword Dance Scizor, which is Occa Berry. Occa Berry, when you're hit by a super effective fire attack, it'll have that. So instead of doing 4 times damage to Scizor, it'll only do 2 times damage, and considering the investment that he has in his HP and in his defense and his decent special defense, it allows him to take a lot of those hidden power fires, or sometimes even flamethrowers or fire blasts from weaker Pokemon, and live to tell the tale and roost off the damage, or set up with Swords Dance and sweep the opposing team. And it catches a lot of people by surprise out there. They don't really expect the Occa Berry. They expect a fire move just to KO, and they don't really know what to do. And when you go and you hit them with a fire blast to 60%, and then bug bite just one hit KOs your Sazandora. I mean, tough luck, but Occa Berry can really contribute to a lot of wins that you normally wouldn't be able to get, and just get some surprise KOs. So that's really all for the Pokemon. I mean, you got the way this team mainly works is you want to send out Deoxys-S early, get your hazards up, and start just trying to break a hole in the opponent's team with Conkeldurr, with Reuniclus, with Dragonite, Rotom-W, and Scizor, and just try to keep the momentum up. This team takes a lot of prediction to use perfectly. You gotta really understand the way the opponent is thinking and try to switch to the counter and do a lot of double switching and stuff along that, just to put yourself in an advantageous position where you can start firing off your extremely powerful attacks. Because a great thing about this team is once you get the hazards up and once you start getting the opponent shuffling around, they find it very hard to take stuff like a Choice Specs Hydro Pump or a Choice Band Outrage from Dragonite, and it allows you to set up your win situation with a sweep from either Reuniclus, Scizor, or Conkeldurr. I mean, sometimes even Dragonite will sweep with Choice Band Outrage. So the goal here is just try to keep the momentum on your side, make smart switches, and understand what the opponent is thinking, what they're doing, because this team gives you a way to handle pretty much everything out there. There's not any real glaring weaknesses as long as you play it right and as long as you keep it everything under control and pretty much manageable, because as long as you're able to keep the upper hand with this team, there's always a safe play to make, and there's always a way to manipulate the situation where you don't have to predict that much and can just start firing off your attacks and really taking advantage of the weakened state the opposing team will be in from the hazards. Now, one thing that I haven't really mentioned so far is that when using this team, it's also very important. I mean, you want to get your own hazards up, but you also got to keep the opposing hazards off, because as much as you're going to be forcing them to be switching, you're also going to be switching yourself. So even if you're unable to get your hazards up immediately at the start of the battle, it's better to have that and have them have no hazards than you both to have few hazards, because then it really comes down to who is able to weaken the opponent faster and who's able to get the better double switches in there. When you have the hazards on their side and not yours, you're able to predict a lot more and not have to worry so much about the residual damage you're going to receive, which is really beneficial when playing this team, because spikes and stealth rock can weaken it and kill it pretty fast outside of Reuniclus, really. So yeah, definitely try out this team on the ladder. I mean, a lot of people are really just going for the standard weather teams, and I wanted to bring you this one to really showcase that you don't have to go with weather teams to be successful. It's quite easy to just throw something else together, to be original, and to come up with a different way of looking at your team, really, and utilizing some things that aren't seen much in standard play, but can be extremely effective. Because I mean, you don't want to just resort to stupid gimmicks like I don't know, Sandville Gliscor, but you want to really just utilize things that really work and can take advantage of some things in the metagame that people aren't really used to, because they're so used to fighting those weather wars. They don't really know what to do when they come up against a hyper offensive team that's built right and is able to respond to everything out there. So yeah, definitely give this a try. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Post your comments, post your suggestions for this team in the comments. Say how it worked for you, any suggestions for improvement you might have. This has been IFM for the POSimulator YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Team of the Week.